Hi, this is Sean D'Souza, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation Podcast. This podcast isn't some magic trick about how to work less. Instead, it's about how to really enjoy the work that you do and to enjoy your vacation time. Hi, it's Sean, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation. As you're aware, we do things differently at Psychotactics, and one of the things that I do is I wake up at 4 a.m. So a client wrote in and she asked me to demystify the 4 a.m. routine. What happens at 4 a.m.? So this podcast is nearing the 200 mark, and 200 podcasts into, 5,000 words per podcast means literally it has been about a million words, sorry. So a million words later, let me demystify the 4 a.m. routine. Let's start out with the concept of energy instead of time. For the longest time, I believed in the power of the clock. Everything needed to be done according to a timetable and my endless to-do lists. And then I discovered that energy is more important than time. It was a precious moment because it signifies that time isn't irrelevant, it's just that energy is more important. But no one can create more energy. You start off the day like a phone, your mobile phone, and then you keep losing battery power. And the only thing you can really do is to turn off the apps that drain your energy. And that's what I had to learn. That by losing less energy, I could get a lot more done every day. And the only source of energy I have is sleep and meditation. Sleep restores the body, but meditation prevents me from losing my cool. It's not like I don't lose my cool. It's not like I don't ever get frustrated, but it's quite infrequent, and it's all due to meditation. Meditation brings that energy back. It's ironical that to gain that energy, I need time. Normally, I'd wake up at around 4 a.m., sometimes 3:50, 3:45 a.m., and then I'd head to work. Now, it's a great walk to the office, even though it's next door. The stars are all up in the sky almost every day, and I say day, for most of you it's night, but for me it's day. I look up, I look at the stars, I pause, I contemplate the growth and the depth of the universe. I say hello to the southern star. I always look for the southern star. And then I make my way to the office. Some days you have a full moon, like tonight, and there aren't so many stars visible in the sky. But most nights in the southern sky, it's just beautiful. There's not so much light pollution here. And no matter whether it's summer or winter, I'm always wearing a t-shirt because I don't feel the cold. Some days the weather can be around 5 degrees or 8 degrees or even 0 degrees, but I don't feel the cold. I feel the heat, I don't feel the cold. So I'm walking around in my t-shirt at that point in the morning. And for all of these years, I've never had to have an alarm. That's because I just wake up. I just wake up at 4 o'clock. But to make it part of a habit to meditate every day, at 3:56 a.m., the alarm goes off. The alarm isn't a harsh ring. Instead, it's tied to the meditation chant. So as I said, I know the sound of 4 a.m., and yet once I started meditating, I needed that alarm, possibly because I sleep better, I sleep deeper, and anyway, I let the alarm play, and it'll keep rolling for 15 minutes before it stops. And I've usually done the first session of meditation. When it stops, I have to put on the rest of the chant. Sometimes I will do 30 minutes, sometimes less. Sometimes in 15 minutes, I'm on my way to the office. When I first started meditating, it was extremely hard to go into that meditative phase. And I would say it's become a lot easier over, a year and a half now. And so I tend to go for a longer session than a short one. Now, just like everyone else on the planet, I have no time for meditation. No one I know has an extra 30 to 40 minutes every day. But what I've found is that my life and my focus is better. More importantly, I don't lose as much energy. Now that's a big payoff. So I will put in about 30 to 45 minutes, and on most days I will meditate. I'm what you'd call a morning person. I don't need coffee or tea. I just have a couple of glasses of water, and then it's time to get to work. If there's a banana lying around, I'll probably eat it. But if I've planned my day well, then I'll launch into creating content. This might be writing a book, recording a podcast, though recently I found that recording a podcast in the evening is a lot better in terms of tone of the podcast and energy. And right now it's 2:30 p.m. and, I sound pretty happy on the podcast. I think so. Anyway, to get back to the 4 a.m. routine, I'll plan everything the previous night. And otherwise, I'll end up on a forum or with email. And the trick is to avoid anything that will derail me. Now, I'm not always successful in staying away from the temptation of email, but by and large, I want to make sure that 4 a.m. starts out really well. So I will plan the first thing I have to do the next morning, and then I'll go to bed. And of course, then I will run out of steam somewhere around 5:30, and I'll switch to lower energy tasks. So email is one of those low energy tasks. You don't need a lot of work for email. But if I start off with email, then I've gone about the tasks in the wrong sequence. But if I start with work and then I get to email, I know that I'm on the right path. High to low energy, and then it's time for a break. By 6 a.m. it's time for a walk and coffee at the cafe. No paper cups, ceramic cups. Cups where I'm going to sit there and drink my coffee and going to have a conversation. No phones. Well, there are exceptions for everything, but by and large, we sit there, we drink our coffee, we take our time with the coffee. And this is just a pit stop. It's a reward for making the trip, and then we get back. My wife Renuka and I talk until we get to the traffic lights. So we do about 10-12 minutes of talking. And then I turn on my Bose headphones. They're wireless headphones. I'm glad Apple removed all of those wires stuff, because now I have these Bose headphones and I have them on my neck almost all day. And I turn them on and I listen to them. Anyway, we're at the traffic lights. We're walking. We're both listening to podcasts and audiobooks. Some audiobooks are plainly boring, but I'll listen anyway. I try to pick a single point instead of remembering all of the content. I feel that I need just a single point to make it worth my while. And then on the way back, again, we'll talk for 10-12 minutes, switch on the earphones, and we'll listen to podcasts or audiobooks. But the last section I leave for learning languages. So I'm learning Spanish, and that's what I do for the last 10 or 15 minutes. Some days, however, it's just time to chat. These walks are often idle chatter, but some of these non-learning walks can be super productive. It's almost like having a walking meeting with no agenda. Some of the best ideas, some of the best clarifications come from these random conversations that Renuka and I have on this walk. For instance, a few days ago, we decided to keep the first 6 months of the year clear of any live courses, to do all the live courses in the second half of the year. A plan like this seems so logical now, but we've run our business for close to 17 years, now 18 years, and we've never once thought of an idea like that. So all of that random talk, it really helps. It's then time for breakfast. It's then time for a bit of painting. I make breakfast every day. It's usually a dosa, and it's super easy to make. So I make it every day, and we put in onions and all kinds of stuff on it. And then it's time to paint. Renuka used to make breakfast before, and I'd paint, which meant that I was less likely to skip the painting bit. But now that I have to make breakfast every single day, I find or rather I have to find time after breakfast to get my watercolors. Now this is the diary of my life, these watercolors. And I'm not too happy to skip any single day. However, I can't say that I've been as diligent as before, and that needs to change, and it will change. It's a matter of making a goal and keeping to it. The day is then divided between high and low energy tasks. So time scampers on, but I'll take on something which involves high energy at about 8:45 or 9 a.m. By 11 a.m., I'll have taken a few breaks in between and I'm ready to stop. I don't achieve much, or I don't achieve that much if I keep going. So I'll just head back home, and there are no stars in the sky on this return journey, and then I'll cook lunch. And I'm not quite sure why I got this idea of having to cook lunch every day, but it's what I do. I turn on Pinterest, I see what recipes turn up, then I pick a random recipe and I make a dish. Now this is an Indian dish, so I don't go making Thai dishes and Chinese dishes and stuff. I'm just sticking to the stuff that's already in my background, as it were. There are still thousands of them to cover, but Pinterest allows me to do that. It just throws some random recipe at me and then I decide, okay, I'm going to do that. Now, before I'd sleep most afternoons for an hour, maybe more. I don't do much of the afternoon nap anymore. After we went to India in 2016, I was told to avoid sleeping during the day to just keep the body's digestion going. But sleep in the afternoon is a great joy for me. And sometimes I'll completely ignore that advice and I'll take a nap. But most days I'm back at work and quite sleepy. So I have to do low intensity stuff. I can draw, I can do some editing, I can do some recording even, and surprisingly that's high intensity but doable, very doable, in fact better than the morning. And that's what's happening. Now my energy is kind of coming back. And it's partly because of the meditation. That's why my energy is reasonably high. I can't say that I'm running around at high speed, but I'm not crashing to the ground either. The energy does start to rise by 4 p.m. But before that, I have to pick up my niece from school, Marcia, and we have this chat along the way. She's old enough to walk home from school alone, but she insists that I pick her up and we talk about ethics and philosophy and all kinds of stuff. And, I don't know. She's decided that she wants me to pick her up until she finishes school, which is another 4 or 5 years away. Anyway, so Renuka will make some tea and we drink matcha, which we get from Japan. And then it's time to get back to work. Will I take on a high energy activity or a lower level energy activity? It's hard to tell because by this point, I couldn't manage either one until around 5:30 p.m. And that's usually when my work ends because now I have to work with Marcia. And it sounds like work, but it's so much fun because I've learned so much about tectonic plates and subduction and how grasses took over the planet, how they destroyed the trees. Stuff that I could tell you that you could listen for hours on end, and all of it is because I've had to work with Marcia, help her with her English and construction and drama and all the stuff that we also teach the Psychotactics. And that's pretty much the day, except when I'm on vacation. Then all bets are off. I sleep at 1 a.m., wake up when I want, eat, drink, and sleep again at any point in time. And it's good to get refreshed on vacation and then to come back to work fresh and eager to go. But anyway, if you want to know what my day was like, well, here's my day. It's meditation, high energy work, low energy work, break, back to high energy, low energy, and so on. That's it. We started out this podcast trying to demystify the 4 a.m. routine, but pretty much demystified the whole day, if there was any demystification to do in the first place. I hope that helped. It sometimes helps to know how other people do stuff, And I hope that someday, at least one day, you can wake up and look up at the stars and remember that I'm doing that every single day. So wave at the southern star if you're in the southern hemisphere, or the northern star if you're in the northern hemisphere. That's me, Sean D'Souza, saying bye for now. Bye-bye.